David, there's a lot going on here. I'm not even sure where to start. I kind of caught that article today about Christine Fréchette, who, of course, is running to replace Francois Legault and become the new leader of the CAQ, coming out and making a variety of promises. One of them, of course, would be, she says, if she's the premier and wins, she's going to eliminate the welcome tax. And I thought, well, that's all great. That'll add to the $13 billion deficit we're already running here. Is this what we're going to start to see?
Well, I got to say, Christine Fréchette, on that particular point, Aaron, I'm going to give her some points for this. Because, first of all, big show of force over the weekend in Boucherville, 400 people in a room, over 30 cabinet ministers and MNAs from the CAQ. And it was her first real policy speech since she announced for leader. And to come out and say, okay, my priorities, and everybody says the same thing. It's like the five first consonants they give you in the final round of Wheel of Fortune. You get all the same first consonants, right? R, L, S, whatever. And and everybody says, well, my priorities are the economy, or housing, healthcare, education. So we know that. Those are givens. But the fact that she came out and staking out on the issue of housing, you know what I'll do for real to help people when they buy a house, I'm going to reimburse the welcome tax. Now, I agree, yes, she didn't explain how she was going to pay for that, and yes, we have large deficits, but I will give her some points on that, because when you look at Charles Milliard, who's been basically running for the Quebec Liberal leadership since the end of 2024, still has yet to give us anything concrete on what he would do as premier on those key priorities for ordinary Quebecers. So on that point, I will give her some points.
It's funny. I said this earlier. It's kind of, I read this story, and yes, she has a great deal of support. And I kind of, to what you just said, I would have hoped that we would hear something like this from a Charles Milliard, something in terms of policy, a plan. And we keep talking about this, David, and nothing seems to change.
Exactly. And what's starting to happen is that, she, and she took a lot of shots at Bernard Drinville, saying she's not about making, fancy claims and screaming and yelling and saying whatever goes through her mind. She's pragmatic, she's thoughtful, and she's laying out basically, this is kind of her version of a Quebec Mark Carney. It's smart, it's intelligent, it's based on rational thought to fight in a pragmatic ways the difficult challenges that are ahead of Quebecers. Now, on the other side of this, when she goes out and says, well, you know what, I'm going to go beyond all the divisions. Well, hold on a second. You were part of the cabinet led by François Legault that has created all these divisions. And the fact is that, okay, if your goal is to bring Quebecers together to deal with these major challenges that we're facing, well then, okay, that means what are you going to do about this Constitution? And also, she completely ignored the biggest story in the world since Friday, which is the U.S. Supreme Court decision, right, and the Donald Trump reaction to tariffs, because this is what permeates everything in Quebec and in Canada, of course, affects the economy. We all know that. But the thing is that the biggest thing about the decision, in my opinion, and give me some rope here, is the fact that what we saw on Friday is the triumph of the rule of law, separation of powers, and judicial independence. The fact is that in 250 years, you've rarely seen in the U.S. the Supreme Court bring down almost the fundamental key component of a president's agenda. And the majority opinion, as we all know, was signed by the Chief Justice, John Roberts, who was appointed by a Republican president, and two of the three justices that were appointed by Donald Trump voted with the majority in overturning the part of the Trump tariffs. Now, the reason why it's important, when you have a Christine Fréchette saying, as premier, I want to put an end to divisions and bring Quebecers together and put behind us the old, federalist, sovereignist divide, and tackle the challenges. There's never been a more divisive premier and government than this François Legault CAQ government. And the masterpiece of this is this Constitution. The Quebec Bar Association has come out on this, and other constitutional scholars have come out on this. This Constitution threatens the basic principles of exactly this: the rule of law, judicial independence, and the separation of powers. Without that, Aaron, the rest doesn't exist. And so for Christine Fréchette to say, okay, I will lead us through this and bring us together, okay, what are you going to do with this Constitution that Simon-Jean Barrette is still going for? That was part of this, strategy from François Legault to save his government last fall by creating wedge issues. What is she going to do about that? Not a word. What is she going to do about the specialists, the doctors, the specialists? Another wedge issue that François Legault completely manufactured. Is she going to bring us together on that? She said that she would bring us together on immigration. She would walk back what François Legault and Jean-François Robert have done. But still, there's still a lot of unanswered questions. But in regards of where she's positioning herself, Liberals should be very worried because in the regions, when you look at the polling, until Pablo Rodriguez had his problems, the polls had the Liberals at 32-27, okay? 27% for the Liberals, the PQ at 32. That was just before the scandal in November. Now, since Pablo Rodriguez resigned as leader, the Liberals have come back, and they're basically where they were before the scandal. But the thing is that the same polls that are saying that the Liberals are at the same place and competitive with the PQ, those same polls say, well, if Christine Fréchette is the head of the CAQ, she would leapfrog the Liberals, and the CAQ would be back in second place and be competitive against the PQ.
Wow.
And Christine Fréchette right now, what she's doing with her messaging is targeting those Liberal voters that left the Liberals to go to the CAQ for 8 years and now seemingly are looking to maybe come back to the Liberals. And if Charles Milliard and the Liberals don't wake up soon and don't roll out some real concrete ideas on affordability, on healthcare, on housing, I could see, I'm not saying Christine Fréchette will sweep the CAQ back in power on October 5th, but I'm saying that she's looking more and more as a serious and credible leader of a major political party.
I don't want to run out of time, David, so I'll get to the other story, which, I don't want to necessarily ignore, and that's the fact we have a by-election tonight in Chicoutimi, and I wonder how significant the results of that will be, given what you're talking about here, and whether Christine Fréchette even plays into this.
I think it's too early. I think it's a snapshot. I mean, let's face it, on the ground, this by-election was called before all of this. I mean, let's face it. I mean, Charles Milliard was not officially the leader. Christine Fréchette was not officially, in the race or just about when this campaign was launched. Look, the PQ should win. I mean, you have to be very careful. This is a by-election in the middle of February in the Lac Saint-Jean region. I mean, it's cold, and the turnout is not going to be great.
So will it be indicative of anything?
No. It'll be indicative of right now of the fact that the PQ has a good ground game. It'll be because what's going to happen? It's going to be between the PQ and the Conservatives. Be very careful of drawing any other conclusions. That is, it's a by-election with a relatively low turnout in the middle of February. Okay. And so the PQ will win it, most assuredly. Duhem and the Conservatives will probably play second. But what it does show, though, one thing, though, is that what I don't understand is that Charles Milliard, who, when he was elected leader, said, I'm a regionalist. The last time he went there was 3 weeks ago. And before he was officially named leader of the Liberals. If you're a regionalist, even if the Liberals aren't going to be very competitive, you counter schedule and you make a strong show to tell the regions of Quebec, I'm going to fight for you. And so you show up the weekend before the election and you do a big show, even though the Liberals are not competitive there. But see, that's another example of saying, okay, guys, something is not in gear right now with the Liberal machine and strategy.
Yeah, you know what? As we said before, and as another texter pointed out, we brought this up before. It's time for that new game. Where in the world is Charles Milliard? So I hate to say it.
Yeah. There's something not there yet. It's not in the machine is not set up yet.
David Heurtel, David, thank you. I appreciate it.
I'm Dylan Playfair.
And I'm Tyler Smith.
We're putting loneliness in the penalty box by talking to some of our favorite athletes about the importance of friendship.
This is Bromance.
Bromance is brought to you by Charm Diamond Centers, proudly Canadian-owned and operated. Charm has been part of your love stories and bromances for over 50 years. And you can find Bromance on the iHeartRadio network or wherever you get your podcasts.